Everyone, we're at the tail end of the second day here, and this is going to be a fun one. We got a lot of energy because it's CanAlaska Uranium. They've had a hell of a year, hell of a couple of years, and they're ready and hitting ultra high grade results here in uranium. And there's no better time to be involved. This second renaissance, as well as, even though we fell asleep over the summer here, everyone was hard at work, and it's starting to ramp up again. Good to meet you, CEO, President, Director, kind of everything over at CanAlaska, Cory Belyk. Great to meet you.
Pleasure to be here to tell the CanAlaska story. Thank you.
Well, listen, you've had some, you rarely see ultra high grade that you're allowed to put out there, but you guys have done it. Why don't we just start with there and tell us, leading from that point of the story, as to what you guys are really up to here.
We are allowed to say ultra high grade uranium because that's exactly what we're drilling at our West McArthur project. And you can only really say that if you're drilling grades that you'd only find at Cigar or McArthur, as an example. Those are the two tier 1 assets in the Athabasca Basin, produced by Cameco and Uranium, feeding 20% of the global uranium supply. It's just phenomenal assets in that part of the world. Now, the Pike Zone, we've been drilling ultra high grade uranium. We drilled our first ultra high grade hole in February of this year, and then we continued to drill that mineralization right through until about a month ago. Now we're waiting for assays. We've got some of those out now, which confirmed our radiometric grades, which we're the only junior in the space that puts out radiometric equivalent grade estimates.
Yep. Because
of our backgrounds from Cameco and Urano. So we can do that. And now we're waiting for the last batch of assays before we get back drilling in early January of 2025 with 3 drills. Why are we going to 3 drills? Because we've got an asset here that so far is showing its continuity with these ultra high grades in the type of structural framework or size or scale as to one of the zones at McArthur River. And one of those zones can host 350 million pounds of uranium. So this is looking special.
Looking special. And it goes without saying, Cameco is your partner as well. This is pretty loaded up story already.
Cameco is our partner. We own 83.35% of the project. Cameco holds a residual interest. I did the deal with CanAlaska back in the day when I was with Cameco in 2016 to get them involved in the project. Why? Because this trend looked fertile. Now we've taken back control of the project as Cameco downsized its global exploration, which has allowed us to go out and make this discovery. Now this discovery, for context, is 15 kilometers straight line distance from the McArthur River mine. A mine of 750 million pounds of uranium that Cameco and Urano are producing from that only has 14 years of mine life left. And that's it. So there's a need for another tier 1 asset in the southeastern Athabasca Basin. Our partners Cameco, they have that need. We now look like we might have the asset that could deliver production down the road.
People always like to see what could possibly be an exit, and without even having to ask, that's an obvious, this could be an exit kind of scenario.
Yeah, producing uranium is not for small companies.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do in our space, in the junior space, is to run that value as fast as you can, as high as you can, and create the auction and get it into the hands of the company that's going to take it forward to production. And being so close to that infrastructure gives you an automatic re-rate on any auction you can create because it's right there.
It's right there.
And the mill has a need, and our partner in this case has a need. Doesn't stop anyone else from getting involved, but you know what? That's a special strategic opportunity for CanAlaska and shareholders now that we've been consistently drilling this ultra high grade uranium. And it's just the start because 2025 looks special.
Excellent, excellent. And going into that too, we can talk a little bit about supply. We see from Kazakhstan, who's a major, the big competitor, one could argue, 50% of their supply is going to China. And one could kind of guess that we are seeing this split, whether it's with bricks and gold and currency and devaluation, that Kazakhstan was going to be caught with, where are they going to go? Well, half of that's now off the table going eastbound. So that's got to have Cameco going, ooh, all right, what are we going to do here? We need to have all these all this R&D sped up going and have some success.
It's security of supply. And, Kazakhstan is sandwiched between Russia and China. And now you're selling half of that production into the Chinese market that geopolitically might be at risk as well. So I think security of supply in the West, specifically for Western utilities, is a key component of what's going to drive this market for the next few decades. And I say decades because we are in a build-out scenario of new energy production through nuclear, that being SMRs or even new big builds or even restarts or refurbishments. And that needs more fuel. And as that infrastructure gets built out, it's going to be multi-decade when you have to have a scenario where you have multi-decade production to actually go out and do that. And that's where CanAlaska comes in, and that we can actually go out and hopefully make that discovery This tier one, so produce at almost any price. Remember, the tier one assets in Eastern Athabasca, their production profile is about $33 a pound.
Yes, yeah.
So, those are low cost quartiles. That's exactly what we're looking for. That's exactly what we might have. And we're right next door to the infrastructure in a market that just looks to be setting itself up for an incredible multi-decade run. It's a fantastic time.
Hungry. I mean, you see just from the commitments from the US, I think by 2050, it was at 3 times as much nuclear they want to have, or they've committed. And that's like to roll out. I was speaking to someone in the US, they're saying, Andrew, that's kind of like doing 8 reactors a year. You go, whoa, that's a big infrastructure play right there. And that's a lot of material. And then tell me if I'm wrong, are a lot of these SMR, they're front loaded. So you have to buy your uranium up front as well.
They're front loaded. Think of them like a light bulb.
Yeah.
You buy the light bulb full of uranium in this case, you plug it in, you let it run for its life, you take it out, pop a new one in, you go refurbish it and reload it.
Okay.
That's how these work. It's like Lego blocks.
Yes.
When the block is out of fuel, you pull the block, put a new block in, you refurbish the block and use it again. This is kind of how it works. And you talk to a lot of people out there and they're kind of like, oh, this is new technology. No, it's not.
Yeah.
This has been running successfully around the world in warships.
Nuclear subs?
Most people, nuclear subs,
yeah.
the big aircraft carriers,
yeah.
They have 4 SMRs on board.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So this has been going on for many decades safely.
Yes.
In a military use, this is just being applied to civilian use. So this is tried and true technology. It is truly a game changer for clean energy around the world. It's going to allow us to have all our data at our fingertips, to have the lights on, to have the heat on, to have the cooling. It's just going to happen.
And that's the thing that we always talk about and come back to is that you want to have safe, secure baseload. I love all of the tools in the tool belt, whether it's wind and solar, that's great. But if we're going to talk about the science and just science and evidence and data, who gets baseload? And I kind of joke that, oh, hold on, this seems a bit unfair because all of these billionaires are going to have baseload. They're all getting their AI data centers. They've got 3 Mile Island. We've got all the, so this in a weird way, and I'm being facetious, like they get to have it, but they are going to drive this. Like they're driving billions. Each one of them have their own nuclear story or play that they're working on with Oklo or whatever. What's your take on all of that as being, is it going to be some sort of mutual government/billionaire kind of rollout, or doesn't matter, it's just happening?
Well, it's been starting with the billionaires for a number of years. You had Bill Gates years ago going, we need to do this as a society. You've seen Microsoft now, connected to Bill Gates nonetheless, going out and 2 years ago in London's creating a new nuclear division. Why? Because they wanted SMRs to support their data centers. Period. Now you got Google, you got Amazon, you've got others coming along going, hey, nuclear is the only choice. It's not the only choice as a global energy production, because you do have wind, solar, among others. But that baseload power, the stuff that's going to keep those computers running, and they have to run.
Yes.
Everybody wants their cloud data on their phone accessible. Yeah. It has to run. And that's the key. It runs 24/7, low cost. Anywhere you want it in the world, you can drop it in now with an SMR. Assuming you get through the legals. Let's assume that. You can build it. It's a phenomenal event that's unfolding in front of us. And I truly believe it's not going to stop. I think we're here.
And what a time to be alive. This is exciting, and it is decades worth of work. I mean, not only to get one reactor get going, but once again, the amount of R&D or drilling that's going to be required is enormous. And the sooner that people, especially in Canada, realize that we're a resource country that can fuel this, that really could drive this home and be a big part of the solution, the better. And also, there's a way to make some money on it. And that's what's so exciting too.
Absolutely. There's a way to make money, and that's invest in the companies that are doing the work, making the discoveries, and really going to set the nuclear stage in front of us. It's amazing.
Excellent, Cory. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All
Pleasure.
the best.
Thank you.